Hello. So if you're running a Shopify brand, anything between 5 to 15 mil GMV, founder, head of growth, quite a small team, you probably have some kind of daily ritual of reviewing performance from yesterday and trying to figure out, okay, can I go on about my day, or do I need to go and look into any performance problems? That typically looks something like this. At least this is what I used to do in previous head of growth roles, is have some kind of centralized spreadsheet where you're pulling in your order data from Shopify, Amazon, influencer on a separate spreadsheet, Google, so all your marketing platforms, affiliates. So, this is typically the way it looks. You've got a spreadsheet, an Excel sheet, a Google sheet with a bunch of tabs with loads of different sources of data, and you're trying to make sense of it. So you might be automating how these come through, which is great, using something like Supermetrics or some fancy app script or something to pull that through, which is great. But a lot of your time is bogged down in actually reviewing and sort of going down the numbers and figuring out, okay, are these, does this warrant an investigation? Has this moved enough? My conversion rate's down 15%. Is that typical for a Monday or a Tuesday, or actually is it due to the 20 new meta ads I launched yesterday? So this kind of triage process can take, a significant amount of time just in the morning trying to figure out, is there actually something there to go and look at, or can I go on about my day? Which is one of the main sort of reasons and thinkings behind the dashboard suite that we've built at Crux. So this is kind of like the core problem that our dashboard suite, which is a series of Looker Studio reports, tries to solve. And it really starts with this business health view. This is sort of like your Bible to start every morning, every day. And this is the fundamental component, this daily triage report. So this is basically your view every day of, okay, what are the things I need to look at? What's actually moved a significant amount where it's actually an issue and it's actually an outlier, and I need to go and investigate this? What's on the verge of that being, a high priority issue? And then what's a potential opportunity, or what's excelling? Maybe I can go and double down on it, or maybe it's just good to know. And everything else can just be ignored. So this is sort of your triage list of things to look at. And, it takes that sort of process. It gives you confidence in what you're looking at. And it removes that doubt of, is a 15% change significant, or, material, or isn't it? So even from this report, I can start to see, okay, yesterday, potentially we've got a bit of an issue with profitability here. Our CM3 efficiency ratio is pretty low. Looks like potentially that's an uptick in spend. Because our spend ratios here, or our spend scores here, these scores are out of 100, are pretty low. And then I can start going down into the specific department health. So this is your one-page view of health of the business. So I can start saying, okay, by the finance function, what's causing that CM3 drop? Looks like it's CM1. So have we had a change in product types or order types that might be influencing that growth wise? So again, spend seems to be driving that CAC increase. Channels, from that, I can see it's probably largely being driven by paid search and a drop in organic splits, which doesn't surprise me if our overall spend has gone up significantly. So, I can start painting a picture of, okay, what's really driving that from what's for yesterday, and what's my priority list to go and investigate. We have our daily KPIs. So you'll start, you'll see these health indicators reflected across all of our reports. Essentially anything that's flagged as red is something, or this sort of warning sign. You want to go and have a look at that. That means it's, performed in the bottom sort of 5-10%. And that's looking at all of the historical values for that same day of the week. So, if I'm looking at performance for yesterday and it's a Monday, that's looking at the last 12 Mondays. It's taking the top percentile, the bottom percentile, and it's saying where it sits within that range. These sort of yellow warning or sort of caution indicator means that, okay, it's sort of approaching that lower or higher threshold, depending on what kind of metric it is. So keep an eye on it. Just bear that in mind. Maybe after a couple of days, go and investigate that further. Anything that's just sort of where nothing is showing, that's kind of within typical norms. So you can kind of ignore that and go on about your day. So yeah, the daily KPI report splits between sort of all of your core business KPIs. You've got your acquisition focus here as well. And then lastly, you've got this ability to drill into specific metrics and categories. You know, if I really want to get a picture of our CAC and where we're sitting within that threshold. And the reason we have that sort of looking at the last 12, you see this pattern here, is that there's usually a lot of variance in day of the week for brands. So this caters for that. You know, if Sundays are significantly better days than Mondays, you know, we're not going to be flagging performance on a Monday just because it's 20% down, if that's the norm. So that's where this sort of, you know, percentile threshold of sort of mapping that over the last 12 same weekdays really comes in handy. And then from here, we have a marketing channel overview. So this is using our custom attribution. You can get a sense of, you know, core marketing channels, Meta, influencer, Google, affiliate, whatever it might be, TikTok, view of, okay, how efficiently are we spending across those channels? Do we want to be moving budget? So this is looking at your efficiency of your CAC for every £10,000 you've spent. So starting to get a picture of incrementality and sort of how does our efficiency scale as we scale the volume. You can start seeing, okay, where do we want to be moving money from and to, vice versa. These customers and orders have all of your historical customer, order and product level data. So things like how many customers are we reactivating or have lapsed over a certain time period, you can use here. Orders is really useful because it has all of your order data with the marketing attributions. So if you want to deep dive into specific orders from channels or certain order sequences, discount codes, this is kind of where you can really build that analysis from. Average time between orders is quite useful as well. We have our LTV and retention dashboard here, which shows last 36 monthly cohorts, or to be honest, it shows your entire history. Split into cohorts. You can segment via discount code, via country, product category, channel, all of that kind of stuff. And then finally, we have the channel deep dive reports. So these are all of your core marketing channels. We can add here, I've got Meta and Google here as examples. But Meta is quite interesting. We track things like ad velocity, obviously more and more important nowadays with the algorithm changes, how many ads you're releasing on a weekly, daily basis, how many of those turn out to be winners. So within a certain CAC threshold. So yeah, all the way from sort of a business level right down to granular, you know, keyword and sort of ad specific from for each of your channels. This whole reporting suite is really there to sort of start from the top and work your way down. So ideally, you're just kind of going to be using this daily triage section to say, okay, brilliant. I've looked at performance for yesterday. Everything looks good. I can carry on about my day, or here are the 4-5 things I need to go and investigate further. That's the Crux Dashboard Suite. Feel free to reach out with any questions. Happy to answer them.